Good morning, everyone. I'm honored and very happy to be here today. My name is TimDawson. I'm with Google Cloud, and I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about the Cisco hybrid cloud platform for Google Cloud. Now, this is quite a mouthful. You might find me reducing this a little bit and not speaking about this in its full name, but extremely important, as Courtney was describing, for both of our organizations as the world moves to a true hybrid cloud world. So as a way to begin, let's talk about the need for accelerated innovation. And as we know, the world and business runs on applications. And business organizations are looking to accelerate their innovation. How can they deliver better applications to both internal and external customers faster and leveraging all of the latest tools and technologies? But how to do this securely and safely, and as Courtney was describing, with the correct security and the correct policies. There we are. So there are really three sets of stakeholders as any organization needs to look at as we look at this notion of how do we accelerate innovation. And starting on the left-hand side here is the IT organization. So the IT organization recognize the need to evolve the on-premises infrastructure, modernize, build new applications, but to do this in a in a controlled environment, which you're doing already with your on-premises infrastructure. But also the need, however, to adopt more of the services available through the public cloud to benefit from the innovation of modern application capabilities, the scale, and the speed. On the right side, I've moved a bit too quickly here. Thank you so much. So on the right-hand side we see IT leadership and line of business. And here we see, and you probably know this better than I, huge pressure to adopt new innovative technologies available only in the public cloud. And how to do this at scale and at speed. So this convergence will only continue. And in the middle, sitting between this, is IT operations, or sometimes known as DevOps. This is a relatively new field, and particularly around the world of CI and CD, agile development, continuous innovation, continuous delivery. And the DevOps team, working very closely with cloud architects and with developers, they're the link between these two other sets of stakeholders and want to take into account existing assets, both your applications and your infrastructure, your on-premises infrastructure, and the internal capabilities of control and compliance and all those requirements associated with that. And so let's recognize, however, that change is not easy. If you look on the screen here, you might have heard some of these phrases before. Perhaps some of you have even said some of these things yourselves. So from the security team, I'm concerned about securing everything, both inside and outside my firewall. From the data center, the IT ops team, I can't afford to leave my existing infrastructure and applications behind. Do you expect me just to walk away? But also worried, the ops team is also worried about management and control of a hybrid environment. Not easy, but it's relatively straightforward to control your on-premises environment. How to do this in a hybrid world. The DevOps team, however, the developer team says, wait, I'm feeling quite limited to specific development tools and technologies that we're using in my on-premises environment. And I can't readily develop and deploy where I want and how I want, depending on the situational circumstances. So, why is this so hard? Why is this change? Because traditionally, you're forced to choose. Choose between your existing infrastructure, your existing IT environment, and choosing to public cloud. I'm here today to talk that there's no longer that false choice. But before, with this choice, you either had, okay, I have access only to a specific set of tools and technologies that we currently use on premises, limiting your teams from being able to develop and deploy where they want to, or leaving behind your existing on-premise infrastructure and applications in favor of the public cloud, but now raising concerns about security, management, control, and compliance. So really, until now, the conventional approach was meant buying all or nothing. Are we on premises or are we in the cloud? And we buy an all or nothing stack, or gluing together different parts from different vendors to build a truly open hybrid environment. I don't need to tell you that can be extremely complicated. So what if? What if you could drive application innovation on your own terms? What if you could, all of these concerns could be addressed, security concerns could be addressed at the same time? So Courtney mentioned this already about our partnership. This is a hugely important partnership for Google and Google Cloud. And what we have built together is truly an open hybrid cloud architecture that lets businesses and their IT partners combine the benefits of cloud-based agility and innovation without sacrificing security and control. As I talked about that false choice, whether using on-premises, cloud-native, or any configuration of hybrid cloud computing, Cisco and Google provide a well-lit path to allow customers to migrate to the cloud at your pace and on your own terms. And very importantly, backed by open source technologies. Broadly speaking, Google has long embraced open source technologies. I'm going to talk a bit more later about our commitment to and our contribution to open source communities, particularly Kubernetes, which was created and invented and released to the open source world by Google. And we are very excited about this partnership because we think, as I said, it removes that false choice between agile development and reliable and regulated secure IT. You now can truly choose both, choosing between on-premises and the cloud. And by the way, this is all delivered by partners. So, you just saw this slide. I'll talk about it a little bit more again, because this talks about the importance for us, and I know the importance for Google as well. So, both parties bring to the table deep domain expertise and best-in-class capabilities. It's truly a case of 1 + 1 = 3. So I won't drain this, as Courtney described it already, but Cisco, as you well know, a leader in networking and security, private cloud infrastructure, multi-cloud management, and of course, behind all of that is the deep enterprise class support from Cisco. Google, on the other hand, and I'm going to talk in a minute much more about Google Cloud, brings our cloud services, our commitment to, and our leading capabilities around microservices and containers, API gateway for connecting existing assets to the cloud, particularly through Apogee, which is a Gartner Magic Leading Quadrant company that we bought in 2016. We haven't bought nearly as much as Cisco has bought. I was quite impressed by Courtney and his list of all of the technology that you have purchased, but we are very, very proud of our acquisition of Apogee. And then finally, the developer community. We have an extremely passionate and extremely committed and broad developer community working on the Google Cloud platform. So what does this mean? So with those three groups I mentioned before, IT operations, leadership and line of business leadership, and DevOps, the Cisco hybrid cloud platform brings together the on-premises environments and the Google Cloud in one consistent environment with security, hybrid cloud management, service mesh, and networking between, as you can see in the green box here. Let me pause for a second, because some of you might be sitting here going, well, but why Google? Why has Cisco chosen Google as their partner? There are other cloud providers out there. Why did Cisco choose not to go with another public cloud provider? So when I say the word Google, this is probably what comes to your mind, a simple search box. But when I look at this screen, I don't see the search box, I see this. This is the infrastructure that is required to make all those simple experiences possible. But if you recall back when we started in 1999, you would quickly realize the technology was not available to do what we wanted to do. So think about it. It's 1999. And you want to build a search engine for the entire web. That means you need to store multiple copies of the entire web. Which database do you use? Which file system do you use? The fact is, back in 1999, there weren't the technologies available, whether commercial or open source available. So we had to invent and create the infrastructure to support that very simple white box that you see right there. Like everybody, we started small. This here you can't really see, but this is the purchase order for our first server order, colo service order, initialed by Larry Page, one of our co-founders. And interestingly, as you can see here, he had the foresight to order additional power that was required. Even back then, he knew the requirements that we had to do what we wanted to do, fulfill our mission, was going to require more than was currently available. So along the way, we learned a lot. We learned a lot about hardware, and we also learned about software. But importantly, we also learned a lot about operating those environments and how to do this at an ever-increasing scale. Along the way, we've definitely received our lumps and our bumps and our bruises, but that has led us to continually improve. And now, Google has 7 cloud products with 1 billion users each. Courtney mentioned 35 billion Google searches on a daily basis. Here are the 7 products, each with 1 billion users. So Search, Chrome, Android, YouTube, Gmail, Google Play, and Maps. So while this scale is interesting, what's much more interesting to me and to us at Google is the technology infrastructure underpinning that. And what did we have to build in order to deliver these to our customers in a seamless way every day, 24/7? So think about search, for example. For search, very early, we had to build the machine learning and the AI foundation so to return those contextually relevant answers. Just very simple. Type it in, there's your answer. For maps, we had to build the location and data APIs. For YouTube, we needed the infrastructure for video, so it just works all the time. And for Gmail, the platform for cloud applications. And for all of these, we had to build an end-to-end secure and scalable infrastructure. And so here's a picture which I will certainly not drain completely, but this is Google Cloud. We confuse things a little bit. We have Google Cloud, and we have the Google Cloud Platform. So all of this is, as we say here, a highly differentiated palette of services. Starting from the bottom, and I call these the blue boxes, this is GCP. This is the Google Cloud Platform. So at the bottom, extremely important, is the core infrastructure of our network, which I'll cover in just a moment, storage, and our compute, which is infrastructure as a service. Layering in on top of that, I'm just going to jump up to app development. This is platform as a service. Google Cloud Platform, we believe we have the most powerful platform as a service for letting developers build the best applications and let us worry about everything else. And in between, however, is our data analytics and machine learning capabilities. You hear a lot about Google and AI and machine learning. And we consider this to be a very, very powerful differentiator for us. Again, for the developers too, to leverage our capabilities, whether it would be our serverless data platform, so BigQuery, which is our data warehouse in the cloud, which, by the way, is what we use for Google Search. So for our customers that use BigQuery, again, it's our cloud-based, fully managed data warehouse. This is the same one that Google uses to run our business. Machine learning capabilities, this is built on TensorFlow, another one of our contributions to open source. TensorFlow is very quickly becoming an industry standard for predictive, insightful analytics at scale. In addition to GCP, we have our connected business platforms. I mentioned Apigee before. Apigee is an API gateway. This is a capability allows you, instead of walking away, if you want to move to the cloud or build in the cloud, instead of walking away from your existing assets, by using Apigee, we can connect your existing infrastructure, your connecting current applications with the cloud. In addition to that, we have a couple quite interesting APIs, both our Vision API. If you go out to Google, you can do a bit of a search where we allow using the API to determine, is this a photograph of a cat, or is this a photograph of a mop? Or what type of cloud might this be? And this API easily embedded into applications that you can use. The language API for translation capabilities, Korean to English, English to Korean, is supported within there as well. And then finally and importantly, our maps for our geospatial capabilities. We have recently relaunched what we call the map platform. So we all use this, not all of us, but on our phones, we use our maps, and it's fantastic as a consumer device. We've relaunched the platform to make it much, much easier for customers to embed maps, our geospatial capabilities, into what they do. And then finally, at the top, and primarily this is G Suite. So G Suite is our set of productivity applications, anchored, of course, by Gmail, but including Drive and Calendar and our versions of another provider's productivity suite, allowing teams to be more productive and true real-time collaboration. All of this, as I said, constitutes the Google Cloud. And the bottom piece here is the bit we're really talking about today primarily, which is GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. So GCP is a global platform. This is our hyper-converged public cloud platform. We have 15 regions around the world, 33 countries. Let's talk about the elephant in the room at the moment. Korea is not on this list. I see I'm being recorded, so I will not say anything untoward. We recognize the importance of the market here in Korea. We are growing and investing a massive amount of money of opening new regions. We have announced a couple new regions, and we will be announcing a number more in the coming months. And so all I can say is watch this space. So multi-cloud, almost anywhere in the world, we will have a region in your country or close to your country. As I said, for Korea here, watch this space. The other piece, however, and this is a very, very busy slide, and this, however, it's extremely important, is what we consider to be a better global infrastructure. And again, this is based off of what we've done as we built out our core business, our core search business, is we own ourselves the largest backbone network in the world, including submarine cables running across the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans. So with hundreds of points of presence outside as well. So what does this mean? Why is it important that we have our own network? So, well, first of all, we own it, we can control it, and we can control and continue to innovate how we make the passage of data more efficient across that network. So owning our own network, clear impact around speed and network latency, but also importantly is around security. What I mean by that is once a customer's traffic is on our network, it's no longer transiting the public internet, making it less likely to be attacked, intercepted, or manipulated. And so this is helpful, this network is helpful in three areas. The first, around hybrid cloud, as we're talking about today. So all data from our on-premise data centers using our private network travels across our network, as I just described. This is not available for other public cloud providers. Multi-cloud, so if you're using GCP and another cloud provider, if you use our network and you want to move data from another public cloud provider to Google, you will benefit from our network to stitch together those clouds. And finally, time to market. So for customers that are currently small, but have the potential for extremely fast growth, and I'll use an example. Pokemon Go runs on GCP. So for anybody here that is a player of Pokemon Go, you'll know it started from nowhere and became a global phenomenon very, very quickly. And so that ability, our ability to move that data quickly across our network is a very, very important differentiator. Can I just pause and just get that bottle of water from you here? Just right here. Thank you so much. And that is basically Google Cloud. So using our innovation to solve the problems that matter most to you. So now let me shift gears and go back to our partnership with Cisco, again, the hybrid cloud platform. The hybrid cloud platform leverages a number of Cisco technologies. You're going to hear more about this in later detail, but let me talk a bit about how we leverage Cisco's VPN service to create a unified and secure network. Also, StealthWatch Cloud takes care of proactive security and threat detection by integrating with our VPC flow logs and your on-premises environment. You can manage access of users, devices, and workloads with policy enforcements. That way you can ensure your developers only focus on building applications while you don't have to worry about security and compliance. Cisco Cloud Center is another important part, and I know there's a session later this afternoon, so please, I would encourage you to go talk about that. Cloud Center with Open Service Broker and Istio enables secure provisioning of microservices across both on-premises and Google Cloud, including integration with local Kubernetes services catalog, which also runs on CCP. And this means, and I'll talk a bit more about Kubernetes in just a moment, and this means you can easily access any Google Cloud service including containers, in our Kubernetes engine, which is our managed Kubernetes, mapped to your infrastructure with CCP taking care of cluster management on your side. And similarly, almost the reverse process can be achieved. One of the key innovations of Cisco, the hybrid cloud platform, is able to expose your on-premises traditional applications and data to the public cloud using Apogee for RESTful APIs to connect those systems with the public cloud. A lot here to consume. I'm going to be around after this, and I'm happy to catch up and talk a little bit further here as well. I do want to make sure, however, I'm keeping on time. I won't say anything about Courtney, but he did run a little bit over time. So, as I mentioned earlier, there's three stakeholders, right? IT management, IT operations, and DevOps. And so by using the Cisco hybrid cloud, developers have access to the best platforms and tools for increased agility. IT Ops has one consistent environment for driving efficiency. And very, very importantly, the security team has visibility across the hybrid environment without slowing innovation. It's always a bit of a balancing act, but we believe that this partnership and what we have created together will solve all three of these. Okay, I'm just going to shift gears a little bit and talk about a bit about Kubernetes, talk about containers, and then talk about Kubernetes. So I won't ask for a show of hands, but if there are any DevOps people here or developers, you will know that containerization is the buzzword around development. And in 5 years from now, if I'm standing up on the stage, I can assure you this is how almost all development will be done. It's that straightforward and that simple. And containers, we recognized this long ago. And I mentioned again, we had 7 products with over 1 billion users. We do all of our applications using containers. We've been doing this for a number of years. And so containers give you a couple benefits: agility, velocity. You can rapidly experiment, iterate, and optimize. Standardized infrastructure, as well as giving visibility, insights into users' experience and their journey, as well as cost to serve insights. So containers have been around for a long time. Containers became popular most recently with the rise of Docker. So Docker was the first time that we saw containers become, I'm going to say, commercially visible. But the concept of containers has been around for a long time. As I mentioned, we've been using containers for more than 10 years. And we built, as we do, an internal container management platform that we called Borg. And so a few years ago, we recognized that the real challenge is not in the container itself, but in the orchestration of those containers and how to do that across multiple hosts. So we created Borg, which then we have then created Kubernetes from our experience with Borg. And again, purely based on open source, and we pushed that out into the open source world a few years ago. We continue to contribute to that in a significant way, but Kubernetes is now freely available to anybody that wants to use it. And we then later created a Google Kubernetes engine, which we call GKE, again, for that management and that orchestration of Kubernetes. We've done a lot of co-engineering with Cisco, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second, with CCP to mirror GKE. What we do, CCP will mirror the orchestration of the Kubernetes environment we're doing with GKE. I'm going to just make a point here, and I'm not going to specifically badmouth our competitors. That's not how we do business at Google, but I do want to say one thing that's very, very important about this partnership and about Kubernetes is both Google and Cisco are committed to the open source nature of Kubernetes. Some other providers have taken Kubernetes and, like you do with open source, they've branched it, right? So they've created their own version, their own proprietary version of Kubernetes. which works fine, but guess what? Now you're locked in. You're locked into using that. Both Google with GKE and Cisco with CCP are committed to the core native Kubernetes environment. What does that mean? It means no vendor lock-in. It means you're not locked in to Google, and we recognize that, but you are not locked in to any cloud provider, which you might be if you used that branch from one of our competitors. So again, I'm seeing now that suddenly my time has changed. It must be, I see what's going on here, so I'm going to go relatively quickly because you will have a session this afternoon on CCP. But essentially, CCP, Cisco Container Platform, simplifies the deployment and the management of container clusters on premises. GKE does that in the cloud. CCP does this on premises. So again, based on pure upstream Kubernetes, no lock-in, integrated with the best-in-class networking and security analytics that Cisco is well known for. Let me talk very briefly about 3 common use cases that we would see. So the first use case, you want to develop applications in the cloud, but you want to deploy on premises. Quite frankly, I think here in Korea, until we launch our Korea data centers, this might be the most likely use case here. You want to use the speed and the agility of the public cloud, but you want to deploy on premises. Again, using Apogee and our ability to create RESTful APIs, we can connect those two together seamlessly. The second use case is developing on premises, but you want to use services from Google Cloud. Maybe you want to use our serverless data platform, but you want the application to sit on premises. Another very powerful use case of this hybrid cloud platform with true enforcement of all security and policy protocols. And then finally, if you're doing hybrid CI/CD, so continuous innovation, continuous delivery, otherwise known as agile development versus the old-fashioned waterfall development. Here, you can use one consistent environment to deploy, test, and move applications anywhere. So you really can build cloud-neutral applications that span both on-premises and in the cloud. So to conclude, in summary, the Cisco hybrid cloud platform, we believe that whether it's on-premises, cloud-native, or any configuration of hybrid cloud, we provide, as I said, a well-lit path to migrate to the cloud at your pace and on your own terms, importantly backed by open source technologies. And that false choice, that choice of, oh, what do I pick? Am I picking agile development in the cloud or reliable, regulated, secure IT? That false choice goes away. You can choose both. And all backed by Cisco's industry-leading expertise in enterprise IT, networking, security management, and hyper-converged infrastructure. And so I'll leave you with this one final slide. If you want more information, there's a couple things you can do. Obviously, you can talk to your Cisco reps. You can talk to Google. But if you want to do a bit of self-serve, if you go to cisco.com/go/Google, you can learn about this there. If you go to Google and go to our website, you can do that as well. And then finally, if you're ready to roll up your sleeves and immerse yourself, go to the Cisco and Google Cloud Dev Center here, as you'll find on cisco.com. And here, you can really immerse yourself in learning labs and run your code against live infrastructure. And I see my time is up. So, 감사합니다. Thank you so much for your time today.